Hey there, I'm Cy, and today I'm going to be doing a review of this slime tube sealant. And I'm going to show you how to add this sealant to a Presta valve. Now, this can work with both Schrader and Presta valves, but it's a little bit more tricky if you're doing a Presta valve. And I just want to show you, if you look here up close, if you take this cap off and you see here, this has a Schrader valve removal tool on the end of it. You can use this if you want to remove the valve core from the Schrader type tubes, but not from the Presta. And that's why I would recommend that you have a tool like this, which I will link to in the description. But this is a Zufecy bike valve core removal tool, and it will remove Schrader and Presta valves. So we normally just buy the tubes with slime in them already, but as far as I can tell, you can't get the Presta tubes with the slime already in them. But I really like this slime a lot. When I have found that once I put the slime inside of a tire, that it hasn't gotten flat for me. I'm not saying you could never get a hole that's big enough to make a flat, but the basics are, if you have this kind of sealant inside your tube, most little punctures caused by goat heads and things like that are going to be sealed up immediately, and maybe you might have to add a little air to your tire if it loses a little air, but it's going to be very little usually, and it seems like this works for a long time, and it says from Slime that it can be for up to 2 years that this can protect your tube from flats. So let's go ahead and take a close-up look of the Presta valve and how we're going to remove that to add the slime. All right, so here we are. Here's our Presta valve. We've got our slime ready, and you can see here that you've got this tube here. We also have our valve core removal tool, which if it was for Schrader, you can use the one that's inside of this cap. And I've also got this zip tie here, which I'll show you what we're going to do with. And then with the Presta valve, first you just remove the cap. And this tube had a slow leak, so we're going to go ahead and fix it with the slime. So this part is important. So let's go ahead and zoom in here really close. And you can see that right here on this valve, there is a flat area, and it's flat on the other side down here too. And that is how you know if you have a removable core. And you do need to have a removable core in order to add slime to a tube. So this one is removable because of that flat edge there. And it's very small. You might have to use a magnifier in order to see it unless your eyes are really good up close. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove, just going to slide this tool over the top of the valve core, and we're going to turn it towards us, which would be counterclockwise or lefty-loosey, you may have heard, and just turn it until our valve core is removed. It's a nice tool to have. And so we're going to go ahead first and open up the slime, and I'm going to remove this little cap here and set that aside and reapply the cap and pull this little tube out. And on the end, close to the end, we're going to put this zip tie. We're going to pull it nice and tight, and there's what it looks like. You've got a nice constricted tube there. Now we're going to screw that onto our valve stem. So my other zip tie was a little too tight, and I couldn't quite get the tube over the valve at the point where the zip tie was tied to it. So I used another zip tie, just made it snug, and then I went ahead, attached the slime to the tube, and now we're ready to push it in. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, there's this little nut here that goes nice and close. You want to loosen that up first before you put this on. And make sure you squeeze all of the air out of your tube before you do this, because if you don't, you might have air pressure working against you. And it looks like we've got it emptied now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off now. Make sure the valve is nice and clean. Screw this all the way back down. We're going to go ahead and screw our valve core back in, and we'll finish it up with our tool here. Link in the description. We're just going to tighten it up so it's nice and snug. We are ready to add air to our tube. We'll go ahead and just loosen this little piece right here. We can add our air. And now that we've got our tire nice and full, go ahead and remove the pump. Tighten up our stem and add our cap back onto the valve. And the final step is to spin the tire. Let's go ahead and set it down. And that's how you add slime to a Presta valve at home using the slime and this Presta bike tube valve core removal tool. I really like this slime. I expect that it's going to hold. I'm going to report back to you tomorrow before I completely close out this video just to make sure that it is still holding air. All right, so I pretty much figured it would work good because I've had other flat tires that have slime and they usually are perfect after you put the slime in them and last for a long time. But as you can see, it's still full of air, so I can definitely say the slime is holding the air. So I hope you liked my review of this slime tube sealant. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and share this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.